Hi everyone. So I wanted to pick up where I left off in my last video, really just chronicling my entire journey, at least everything I can remember, so that mostly I want it for my own records so that I can look back and just remember when I need to, because it's not just been hard, but it's been a lot of miracles and blessings that we've seen along the way, and I don't ever want to forget that. Plus a lot of people that have really shown up for us and made our lives in this journey a heck of a lot easier. So where I left off, we were waiting to go to Stanford. After the 4 rounds of chemo, my blast count, which is your leukemia cells, got down below 5%. And so Stanford accepted us into the BMT program, the bone marrow transplant, or stem cell transplant. It's the same thing, that program. And so we met with my oncologist up here, met with a social worker to get housing arranged for after, because after you're in the hospital for a month, then you have to stay in the area within 30 miles of Stanford Hospital for 2 months, because they highly monitor you after you're out of the hospital. For the first month, we were in clinic 3 or 4 times a week, and for about 4 or 5 hours every day, because in the beginning I was needing blood transfusions almost every time I went. So we felt like we lived in the clinic. So glad though that we were being monitored and that we could be at home being monitored, or at our makeshift home at Stanford, until we get to go to our real home the end of this month. So which is extremely exciting for all of us. And I'm sure for my kids who are watching, all my animals and chickens, they're very excited for us to be at home. So we got into Stanford. I kept my PICC line the whole time. I've had the PICC line since the beginning of August, but that PICC line is going away before we go home, like in 3 weeks. So that's very exciting. I'll not be sad to let this thing go. It's very nice now though, because they draw labs every time we're in clinic, and so I don't have to get stuck. They actually just draw it from the PICC line, which is no pain and easy. So I don't mind the PICC line right now. So we got into Stanford, put us up in the BMT area. Has big rooms. We had a big bay window that looked outside, which was nice, because at Kaiser, when I did my 7+3 chemo, I was allowed to take walks, go outside, and you can't do that at Stanford. The kind of ablative chemotherapy that they do is so strong that what it's meant to do is kill all of your blood cells, so that when you get the new stem cells from the donor, they're all that you have. They don't want your body to produce blood cells. They want the new stem cells to be to proliferate and to become what fills your marrow and your blood. So that was a 5-day regimen, and just like when I was at Kaiser, I felt fine. I felt strong when I was receiving the chemo. So we did 5 days of chemo. My sister flew out almost at the same time. She's my donor, and this is the other great thing, is that I feel we were really blessed with. I'm sorry, I don't know why I cry all the time, but it's been an ordeal. So of blessings too. But one of the really great blessings is that she was 100% match. And that doesn't happen all the time. In fact, they can do it with a 50% match. All my other siblings, except for my brother in Africa, which we couldn't use, they were a 50% match, which they could have used as well, but it sets you up for greater chances of a possible graft versus host disease after the transplant. And with my sister being 100%, it really solidifies and hopefully sets the stage for not having a lot of graft versus host disease after. So, and that is what we've seen. Thank God for that. Such a blessing, because so much can happen after the transplant. And good thing I didn't think about it too much before. You learn it as you go. So sometimes it's good to be ignorant in the facts, or else if you're like me, you stress about what if and what could happen. So we did my sister did shots. She was there for a week too, and Stanford gave her shots to increase her bone marrow production. And then, like for me, I had 5 days of the ablative chemo, and then 1 day rest, and then we did the stem cell transplantation on the 7th day. And my sister was there for that too, my sister Alicia. And she had given, I want to say she had given the stem cells the day before on my rest day. And then they gave them to me the next day. It's actually a very simple process. They don't have to drill into your, like they do with the biopsies, or they drill into your the back of your pelvic bone to get the biopsy. They just take the blood. And then I received it like that. And I had made a video actually while we were doing it. So it was pretty exciting. I still felt really good. And then after, let's see, probably a few days after, I did do videos. So you probably get more information from that, because sometimes my memory becomes bad on the specifics. So I waited a long time to do this video. But after, it was probably about a week after the stem cell transplant, I started seeing the effects of the chemo. So the main effect for me was nausea. I didn't have any vomiting or anything. And then so what the chemo has effect on are fast growing cells in your body, and your mucosa is very fast growing. And so it affects that. And so like your esophagus and your mouth, that's where they can see a lot of issues. Like I had mouth sores at when I did the 7+3 at Kaiser, and I kept hoping, because I was feeling so good and doing so well. I was still exercising, through everything in my room. I kept hoping that I was going to just be able to sail through, and that's not what happened. So I started getting mouth sores in the back of my throat, and then my esophagus started sloughing. So all the way down your esophagus, where it gets so bad that you can't swallow your own spit. You have to, use a Yankower and a suction tool and suction out your spit, because it's too painful to even be able to swallow. So you can't drink water, you can't eat, nothing like that. So they have to feed you intravenously and give you hydration. And they put me on a narcotic, on Dilaudid. And we found out I was allergic to Dilaudid, but it was about 5 days in. And then they switched me to fentanyl, which did much better, but it started making changes in my mental status that my husband noticed. So if any of you got crazy texts from me or anything like that, that was the Dilaudid, and I'll blame it on that. Because I was talking to my kids when my kids weren't there. I was extremely confused. So we did like 2 head CTs and an MRI. And then they switched me to fentanyl, and now I'm in my chart allergic to Dilaudid. After I came out of the haze that you're in when you're on fentanyl, because the pain started going down, we realized just the changes that had happened. My memory wasn't there. I didn't know what year it was, what month it was, who was president, where I was. I couldn't tell you the days of the week. Psychiatry was coming in to work with me to help regain my memory. Work on simple tasks like, rock, paper, scissors, just doing a 3-set pattern like that. It's not something I could actively do. So we worked on that until I left the hospital, which it did get better, but my memory of that time is sketchy. I don't remember a lot of it, although I remember being confused. But it changed. I was talking to my sister today, and it made things feel very dark for me when I came off of the fentanyl. And that was probably because of the Dilaudid and the changes that it did. But I went straight on the fentanyl after Dilaudid, so might not have seen it until I came off of the fentanyl. But everything seemed very dark for me. It's hard to have faith that things are going to get better. It was, I couldn't write I was writing in my journal every day. I couldn't write in my journal because I was shaky, and I couldn't spell things right, and just scary. It was a scary time, and I didn't want to record anymore. I didn't want to because I didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel okay. And there were so many changes. Like, my room was the same room, and I knew that, but it didn't feel like the same room. So just a strange, scary time for me, which is why you saw a lot less videos after I went on the narcotics. So we had one nurse tell us that also when you're in the same room for a long period of time, that you can get delirium from that, like ICU delirium, which if you've worked in the ICU, you've heard about. So that could have played a role in it too, but it definitely started after the Dilaudid. So gradually things got better, and I could start swallowing. Really, that was what was keeping me in the hospital, was my inability to swallow meds. So they all had to be via my PICC line. But once that started to get better and they could decrease, how many medications I was receiving through the PICC line, and I could take them by mouth, then we worked into being able to leave the hospital. And I think it was at between 28 and day 30 after the bone marrow transplant. No, from the time I was admitted to Stanford, I think it was a total of 28 or 29 days before we left. So we left, I was weak, I was tiny, I was like 98 pounds. I've gained 10 pounds back since then. I had actually had to work really hard for that, which I've never had to do before. So I was on the other side for once in my life, but it's over now. So I felt weak. I posted that video of when I rang the bell. I couldn't walk very far. Your hemoglobin's low, which carries oxygen to the rest of your body. All my counts were really low. My platelets were really low, and platelets, you can bleed out, so you have to be really careful, about bruising and falling, internal injuries, just that kind of stuff. Different things that it was a lot to worry about. And I'm a worrier, unfortunately. It's something I'm really trying to work on, because I just need to trust that, God has a plan. And I don't have a lot of control over that. I can be as healthy as I can, and then the rest is up to Him. But we got into our place. It was nice to be home. It was nice to not to wear caps all the time, and to be able to pretend I had hair with my wigs. I have a lot of wigs. Different stuff like that. It was just nice to start feeling normal again, to eat normal food. We really had to, Augie, my husband, has been he's my caretaker, and he's just been so good about, making things easy, getting whatever I need, and making the food, and just taking care of whatever needed to be taken care of. Definitely been a rock through this. And then he's always joking around, so we were always laughing, and that really helps with healing as well. So once we got here from Stanford, we had, like I said, we had weekly, we had to go to clinic weekly. And at that time, my platelets were, they would always come up below 10. Normal platelets are like 150,000, and mine were like 10,000 or below. And so at 10,000, you have to get blood transfusions, you have to get platelets. If my hemoglobin went below 7, which it did on multiple occasions, then you get, your packed red blood cells, and I would get transfusions in clinic. So it would take a long time to get those. But I never, knock on wood, and really not knock on wood, but thank God that I never had reactions to those, because you can get reactions. There's a lot I didn't know that you could get reactions to, and I didn't ever see reactions from any of the transfusions that I got, which is a blessing, because I got a lot of transfusions. I don't feel like any of my blood is my own. But for a long time, my numbers were not going up like they thought I should. And then I developed, I had a cough since I left the hospital, and I developed left-sided pneumonia. And so anytime you get a fever and you're neutropenic, meaning your neutrophils are low, and that's a type of white blood cell, you have to go to the hospital. Like the doctor said, he said, we're not worried about your cancer coming back. We're worried about something like pneumonia killing you. So we went to the hospital one night. It was on a weekend, and we only stayed overnight. They were able to control the fever pretty well, but then I came home and had a fever for 3 days, which is just scary. It's scary because you know what could happen. But that has gradually gotten better. The cough lasted just forever. I have a pre-existing condition of asthma, and so I'm prone to getting lung infections anyway, and they usually last longer. I still have a cough, but it's so much better. It doesn't keep me up at night. It doesn't, it's not inhibiting my day. Like for a long while, I couldn't work out or anything like that because I just was so short of breath. So in that time that I had that 3-day fever, it's one of the times I will never forget, because I remember just being on my hands and knees, just praying and just saying, I'm losing hope. I feel horrible, which I felt horribly sick, not just the fever, but the pneumonia. And I was in a lot of pain, and I just kind of was at the end of what I felt like I could deal with, and just, begged God to bring healing so that I would start feeling better. Begged for 2 days, and pleaded, and just wanted to feel better, wanted to feel hope again. It's very dark when you don't feel hope, and started feeling better. As soon as the fever left, already you feel better, right? Because fevers are just you feel bad. And then the pneumonia started slowly but surely clearing. I was on antibiotics, but you're always worried, should I go into the hospital, shouldn't I? And I've never had a fear of hospitals. I worked in one for years, and ICU, and seen a lot of sick people, and I've just never been afraid to be in a hospital or around that environment. And I will tell you that after the Dilaudid, I am not a fan. So I did not want to do anything that would get me back in the hospital. So after I got the pneumonia, a week after that, my husband got sick, and so he had to sleep somewhere else. We had to wear masks around each other for a week. The infection, where he could pass it to me. But he got better and I didn't get it. So that was a blessing too, a real blessing, because he's my only caretaker here. So, and I needed him here. We were just extremely careful. So I've been able to see my kids, and then Emma came up, stayed with us for a week. I didn't feel like at the time that I was strong enough to be able to do her schoolwork with her. I just had very little energy. when I was recovering from the pneumonia. But once I got better, we were able to pick her up from Ashley's, who's been so good with her, and bring her here. And hopefully she's going to be here until we go home. And then, we're able to live as a family. And that it's just, I can't tell you what a blessing that is. She's young to not have her mom and dad there for, since really the beginning of August. So I wanted to have as little amount of trauma for her as we could, because she was 9, she just turned 10, but yeah, it's hard when you're that young. So, and it hard to, see your mom sick and not feeling well and not able to do the stuff I've always been able to do with her, been very active with her. But that is all getting better. Now all my numbers are going up, and the numbers I'm talking about are like, they look at my chemistry panel. They're always check, every time I'm in clinic, they check my kidney enzymes and my liver enzymes just to check my function, because I'm on a lot of medication still, medication to suppress my immune system from attacking my donor cells. And then medications again, like antivirals, antibacterials. I don't think I'm on antiparasitic anymore, but just a lot of medication. And it's hard on your liver to metabolize and process all of that medication, and on your kidneys. So they're always checking that. My electrolytes actually have almost always been good, so we've never had an issue with that. But we did have a flare-up, like my liver, about a week and a half ago, where my liver enzymes went up, and that means that you've got tissue damage in your liver, and we couldn't really figure out why, because I really haven't had graft versus host disease. I haven't had any symptoms of graft versus host disease. But my enzymes were going up dramatically for my liver, and really had to pray about that too. We switched to medication, and then switched back just to see if that had any effect on it. But miraculously, my liver enzymes just came back down on their own, which they told me after they were about to put me in the hospital, and I didn't want to go back to the hospital. So that fear I've developed of the hospital. So I was glad that that was just another little miracle. And then one little miracle that I had asked God for, and vain or not, when you're losing your hair, it feels like everything. At least it did to me. And I didn't want to lose my eyelashes. And I just asked God repeatedly, and asked my sister and other people to pray for it too. I know it seems silly, but it kind of like was an affirmation to me that he was listening, and that he was by my side the whole time. And I actually kept my lashes until 2 weeks ago. And now they're all growing back. So blessing after blessing. And really an affirmation that he's been by my side. And that I feel like that's the biggest thing. So little things like that, but not so little to me. Sounds little, but it really wasn't. Because every time I looked in the mirror, I was reaffirmed that he heard me and listened to me. Let's see. So our numbers, we said electrolytes, and then the big ones we're looking for, the white blood cell count, which started at 0 after the transplant. It takes a while for the donor cells, about 2 weeks, for them to plant or implant and then begin growing and multiplying. And so it's a fairly long process. But we look at that hemoglobin, which carries oxygen, and your platelets, which help control bleeding. So those are the main numbers. And then absolute neutrophil count we look at as well. And so as of yesterday, my white blood cell count all of them are going up. My white blood cell count is almost at normal. My neutrophils are within normal. Hemoglobin is still around 9, but that's better than it was, and I feel different. So I know that's still really low. But for those of you that know normal hemoglobin, like for me, should be around 13 or 14. But I'll take the 9 from the 7, and and many times I was 6, where I had to get transfusions. So I feel blessed that at 9 and it keeps going up. So every time there's a little celebration that my numbers go up because I feel like I'm on the other side, and I feel like healing is really happening. So it was a long time I had to tell myself healing was happening, but I didn't feel the healing. So to be able to see it and feel it now is such a blessing, because it helps with the hope and with, the excitement of seeing a life ahead of me. And without treatment, I wouldn't be alive today. I wouldn't have been alive at the end of the year last year. And that's so crazy to think about, but such a miracle that I'm here, and it was found when it was found, and I able to get treatment and come to Stanford, which is such a good hospital, even though I don't love it right now. There's such a good hospital, such good doctors. I just was blessed in so many ways, blessed that we had so many people praying for us, blessed we had so many people just caring for us and helping us, so much family and friends, and blessed in so many ways. So, because every time we go in for the numbers, there's nothing I can do to make it better except make sure I drink my water and eat healthy, which I do. But you just hope that your body is going to respond the way that it should, or the way they want it to, or the way they're expecting. Because for a while, my numbers were just staying low, and they weren't changing, and they were getting worried. So we did another biopsy. And I think I said in my other video, it's my least favorite. I cry through the whole thing. I don't mean to, but it's terrifying, and it hurts. So, we did another biopsy, and they just wanted to make sure that there was no signs of leukemia. They just wanted to make sure everything was good, and we saw no chromosomal difference abnormalities, which I did have. We saw no presence of leukemia, so everything was good and a blessing. And then after it's like the biopsy, my marrow was like, okay, I need to do something. And my numbers started going up. So it was just a really big blessing. Still doing tests all the time. Probably will still be doing tests for the next couple of years, just to follow and make sure. We're going to be seen at Stanford until June, but we'll come back here for visits. And it's only once a month. It's not extreme or anything like that. But when we go back to home, we'll be followed by my oncologist there, who also trained at Stanford, which it's a really nice thing. So I can't think of anything else. I just so grateful. Like every day I wake up, I thank God that I'm alive. It really makes you prioritize what's important in your life. So when I come back and when I go back to work, things are going to be different. For those of you that are, I have some students and graduates who watch and won't be program director anymore. I'll just be an instructor, which is enough for me, because my mental and physical health is very important, and that can be a very stressful job. So I'm excited, though, to be able to still be able to teach and do what I love, which teaching is the thing that I love the most about working at ARC. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get back to my little farm, everything that I love. I'm excited to be back in my house. Excited to be able to visit with people that I love and care about and miss. We had so much support, like at my husband's gym. There are just good people, and they've been running that business now for almost 6 months. And we just have so much to appreciate everybody for, because we had to literally step out of our lives for 6 months, and the healing still continues. Um, I don't go back to work until the fall because my doctor wants me to make sure that I'm still healing and doesn't want stress on me. So it's a lot of still healing, but healing at home, and that sounds so much better to me than here. So it's exciting. So just wanted to say thank you. Wanted to say that with everything I know prayer works. And I believe in his healing power and his love for us. And that's what I've walked away with, and something I don't ever want to forget. And then I've learned so much about myself, and I believe things happen for a reason. I believe this happened for a reason. There's a lot I've had to work on with myself, and things I wanted to change that I've been able to change. And one thing it really showed both of us is how many people stand for us, like truly stand for us and care. And that's been a big thing. So just wanted to give you kind of a whole update of my whole journey, but not just for you. I wanted it recorded so I always remember. All right. Thank you. Bye.